Yesterday I went into town and was running errands, and I was listening to some of NPR, and they had a whole news show about the state of the news, essentially. And so they were talking about kind of what news is transformed into, how it used to be sort of journalism and presenting facts, and now a lot of news is sort of sensationalism. And although the basic method and process of news is the same, finding information and putting it out, and trying to sell your product. I mean, that's always what it is. The people who make news and the people who used to make news still wanted you to watch what they had to say, so they put news out that people wanted to see, and you can't blame them for that. In fact, really, in a sense, it's propaganda, because, I mean, it's truthful propaganda. People are hopefully saying the truth, but they're propagating their own views, and that's just the nature of us as beings, and there's nothing wrong with that. But nowadays, a lot of the news has turned far more into the political realm, and with that, a whole lot of opinions come, because that's mostly what politics is opinions. It's not really that much based on the factual case of somebody going out and committing crimes, or some of that's mixed in there. But for the most part, what we're talking about is different people's opinions on different things that people said. And so I thought it was, I started thinking about that, and it's really actually quite an important point when we talk about what we watch on the news. And not just on the news, but what we listen to and what we take in when we're listening to other people, and when we're getting news from individuals, or what I guess a better word would be gossip, usually is mostly what it is. But when we get information from people, how do we hear that, and how do we use that? And it's actually quite important to think about. If someone, for example, if I come to you every day and I tell you all the bad things I know about Jim Talley, and even if there's factual basis for them, it's one-sided. I'm angry at somebody, and so I give you my point of view of it, and I give you all the bad things because that's what I want you to agree with me. And then from your side, all you have are this information, factual or not, and the tendency is, I think, for most of us to form the view that's sort of in agreement with the people who's giving us the information. Usually that's how it happens for me. If someone's telling me something in a certain way, I tend to just kind of, oh yeah, you're right. And then someone else tells me something a different way, oh yeah, you're right too. It's kind of confusing, but the point being that what we end up doing is we take someone's emotional beliefs rather than a rational understanding of the situation. So even if you do hear all these bad things about somebody, a very specific person, if we apply ration to it, we know that that's not all of who that person is. We know that that person has a mother who loves them dearly, maybe has children who think that they're the most wonderful person in the world, and there's people who they are kind to, even if they seem like a horrible person to everybody. That person is probably kind to some people, to the people they like. But I mean, that's kind of how we're all biased. We're usually kind to the people we like and not so kind to the people we don't like. So we have to kind of balance ourselves and not pick up someone else's emotions and their belief system based on those beliefs, those emotions, and make them our own. And instead, we choose what we believe when we listen. And not to say that we can just believe anything we want. I mean, I guess it's fair to say that you can believe the moon is made out of cheese, but it's not in line with reality. So what we need to do is take information in and choose to believe in a way that we're looking at facts rather than in a way that we're looking at opinion. Because it's fine to say that somebody is a bad person, and you might agree with me, but if all the reasoning that I give you for that turns out to be false, you might still be stuck with the belief that this person's a horrible person, when in reality, they're a very kind, wonderful human being. But because you bought into my belief systems, rather than listening to the facts and saying, here's the facts, and with the facts that I have, it seems that this person is not so kind. But instead, if I say, oh, this person is a horrible person because I know this and this and this about them, then even those facts go away and we hold these beliefs. Some of the time that's not so bad. I mean, it can be out of line with reality, but where it really becomes a problem is when these beliefs that we hold are negative. If I hold false beliefs about reality, and I gain these beliefs from someone else's opinion, say a religion that is totally out of line with reality, but that religion teaches kindness and compassion, then the beliefs that I'm going to gain from that are actually beneficial, even if they're somewhat out of line with reality. So the problem is when the beliefs that I take from other people are quite negative, because the purpose of all of our lives and the reason we all do what we do is to try to be happy. And, anger and happiness don't really fit in the same mind at the same time. So when we're picking up anger, we're really setting down happiness. And so those are the beliefs where we really, really need to worry about, what am I picking up from this information that I'm getting from the news, from the media, or from the person who's coming to tell me just something about my neighbor. Oh, your neighbor, kicks his dog. Okay, I can take that fact and say, this is some information, and I don't have the context or even to know whether or not this is actually true. Or I can say, my neighbor's a horrible person. They're very different. One of them's quite flexible because the facts could be right or wrong. There could be context within which the person acts a certain way. Maybe they're, they just got fired and then their mom died, and then, and then the neighbor walks up and sees them kick their dog or something, some horrible extenuating circumstances. We don't know what's going on. And so if we choose to take the facts and listen and think and just hold them lightly and accept that they change or can be different, then we have more space to have a more balanced mind, I think. So we need to be very careful about that. I think in our daily lives in general, we don't watch a whole lot of news here, but everybody has an opinion. So